وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وأدخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وأدخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا وأدخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وأدخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وأدخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا وأدخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين.
The security guard slain at the Islamic Center of San Diego has been hailed as a fallen hero who sacrificed his life to keep 140 schoolchildren inside the mosque safe by engaging the gunman in a shootout that deterred the teenage suspects and helped thwart their attack on the Islamic Center. Officials held a news conference focused on the three men, all affiliated with the mosque, who were slain in the attack and were credited with putting themselves in harm's way to save others. Authorities also disclosed that the 17 and 18-year-old assailants, who took their own lives shortly after Monday's shooting, were believed to have initially met online and were apparently radicalized in hate-related, identified by police as Amin Abdullah, father of 8. also known to friends as Brian Climax, who opened fire on the two gunmen on Monday as they ran past him in the parking lot of the mosque complex, and then paused to return fire, according to San Diego Police Chief Scott Wall.
His actions, without a doubt, delayed, distracted, and ultimately deterred these two individuals from gaining access to the greater areas of the mosque where as many as 140 kids were within 15 feet of these suspects.
Wall said all three victims, including an elder leader of the mosque community, played a role in preventing more lives from being lost, but he singled out Abdullah for special praise of his heroic action, adding that, at first, Abdullah was fatally shot in the parking lot, along with two other men who helped distract the suspects after they entered the building and drew them back outside as law enforcement officers were closing in on the scene en masse, Wall said. In the midst of the confrontation, it was Abdullah who transmitted the radio call that activated security lockdown protocols at the mosque, which Wall also credited with preventing further bloodshed at the complex.
I want to be very clear that those two young men do not represent our city. These three Muslim men do. Their heroism, their selflessness represents the very best of this city. And Imam, you said that your community is mourning. I'm here to say very specifically, our entire city is mourning. And we will mourn these three heroes for what they are, heroes. And we will remember their sacrifice always.
Hawa Abdullah, a loving father, husband, son, brother, and uncle, and her own role model.
My dad was the #1 advocate for safety and keeping our community safe. He stood against any form of hate. He took his job seriously to protect everyone here. He would want our community to stand together as one. That's exactly what he would want.
China and Russia's leaders lauded on Wednesday the progress in their nation's strategic ties as they met for talks in Beijing. President Xi Jinping welcomed President Vladimir Putin with an honor guard and a gun salute at the Great Hall of the People, as children waved Chinese and Russian flags. During a bilateral meeting, Xi said China would share its development opportunities with Russia as it pursues its latest 5-year plan.
Chinese nation through Chinese-style modernization, and will unswervingly expand high-level opening up, sharing development opportunities with Russia and other countries around the world to jointly create a better future for mankind.
Putin said their relations were helping ensure global stability and stressed that Russia remained a reliable energy supplier amid Middle East disruption.
The comprehensive partnership and strategic interaction between Russia and China in the new era is a model for intergovernmental relations in the modern world. It is based on the principles of equality and consideration of each other's interests, mutual support, friendship, and genuine good neighborliness. Our goal is the well-being and prosperity of the Russian and Chinese peoples.
The optics and outcomes of the summit will be closely watched as Putin's state visit comes on the heels of U.S. President Donald Trump's trip to the Chinese capital last week. Alongside formal talks, the pair are expected to cap the day with an intimate meeting over tea.
A U.S. citizen who contracted Ebola in the Democratic Republic of the Congo arrived in Germany for treatment early on Wednesday. The patient has been identified as medical missionary Peter Stafford, who was working in the region during an outbreak of the rare Bundibugyo strain, which has claimed more than 130 lives. Germany's health ministry said Stafford would be admitted to the special isolation ward at Berlin's Charité University Hospital. It added that the country has a network of experts dedicated to managing and caring for patients with highly infectious diseases. Meanwhile, 6 people identified as high-risk contacts will also be traveling to Europe. Most will be quarantined in Germany, while 1 is heading to the Czech Republic, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The outbreak has been declared a public health emergency by the World Health Organization, as health officials work to contain its spread. Medical supplies arrived in the eastern DRC city of Bunia on Tuesday, as authorities and aid agencies stepped up efforts to contain the latest Ebola outbreak. Ella Skiri is the head of UNICEF's office in Bunia.
Actuellement, ce convoi-là, c'est 16 tonnes.
Currently, this convoy includes 16 tons of supplies to strengthen the prevention and control of infections. These supplies will be pre-positioned in health centers and distributed according to needs in the 3 sites currently identified: Mongwalu, Bunia, and Rwambara.
Qui sont à Mongwalu, Bunia et Rwambara.
The US CDC said the risk remains low domestically, but introduced new entry restrictions on Monday for travelers who have been in the DRC, Uganda, and South Sudan within the past 21 days. The Africa CDC criticized the decision a day later, saying travel restrictions are not a solution and could potentially increase the risk rather than reduce it. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department on Tuesday said it is funding up to 50 treatment centers in Ebola-affected regions to strengthen response efforts on the ground.
An Israeli strike on Gaza's Al Bureij left the area damaged beyond repair, reduced to just rubble. Many Palestinians lost their homes in the strike, unable to recover much of anything from where their houses once stood.
Yesterday, suddenly they told us to evacuate. We are civilians, sitting in our home under God's protection, and there is a truce. The situation is normal. Suddenly, after about half an hour, an F-16 jet struck, bringing the 4th-floor building down and damaging all the houses around it. All the people around us, including the families sheltering with us, people who were staying with us after fleeing from Gaza, all of them ended up in the streets. We left. I left with this. I didn't even take my medication.
Residents said an evacuation order was given by Israel ahead of the strike. There were no reported injuries, and there has been no immediate Israeli comment following the strike.
We do not know what truce they are talking about, what ceasefire. Every day, successively and increasingly, there are strikes of specific people, demolition of homes and residential blocks without any justification.
Some 880 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli strikes since the October ceasefire, according to figures that do not distinguish between combatants and civilians. 4 Israeli soldiers were killed by militants during the same period. Hamas does not disclose figures for casualties among its fighters. Many of the Palestinians affected by the Israeli strike on Gaza's Al Bureij are left wondering where they're supposed to go.
A Ukrainian strike on the Russian city of Ryazan, south of Moscow, sent a massive plume of black smoke into the air, and on the ground, a Russian offensive in Ukraine is stalling. The attacks deep inside Russia and Russia's difficulties on the front lines both stem from a growing Ukrainian military strength: medium-range drone attacks. Defense analysts and Ukrainian commanders say that by targeting Russian air defenses and logistics dozens of miles behind front lines, Ukraine is opening the way for long-range strikes on Russian oil and military facilities. Ukrainian officials say more resources have in recent months been poured into, quote, middle strikes, typically ranging between 20 and 100 miles behind front lines.
It is definitely true that also the mid-range strike campaign definitely does have its own effect on the battlefield.
Emil Kastahelmi is with Blackbird Conflict Analysis Group in Finland.
Having fire control over that area would mean that Ukraine